What if I told you that some of the most common foods in your kitchen can turn toxic just by reheating them? Doctors are warning that reheating certain foods the wrong way may increase the risk of cancer, brain damage, and even dementia. This is not a myth, it's a silent danger many people ignore every day. 1. Reheated rice. A risk for the brain. Reheated rice may look harmless, but doctors warn that it can quietly become dangerous if handled the wrong way. Rice is one of the most commonly eaten foods in the world, yet very few people know that it can pose serious health risks when stored or reheated improperly. The danger does not come from the rice itself, but from bacteria that can grow on cooked rice if it is left at room temperature for too long. One of the most concerning bacteria is Bacillus cereus, which can survive the cooking process and produce toxins that are not destroyed by reheating. When cooked rice is left out on the kitchen counter, even for a few hours, this bacteria can multiply rapidly. Reheating the rice later may kill some germs, but the toxins already produced can remain active. These toxins can cause food poisoning symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. But doctors are now warning about potential long-term effects as well. Repeated exposure to such toxins may place stress on the nervous system, leading to inflammation that can affect brain health over time. For older adults, children, and people with weak immune systems, the risk is even higher. Some studies suggest that chronic exposure to foodborne toxins may contribute to cognitive decline, memory problems, and increased vulnerability to neurological conditions. While reheated rice alone does not directly cause dementia, doctors warn that consistent poor food safety habits can add to the overall burden on the brain, especially in aging individuals. Another common mistake is reheating rice more than once. Each reheating cycle increases the chance of bacterial growth and toxin formation. Microwaving rice unevenly can also leave cold spots where bacteria survive, making the food unsafe even if it feels hot on the surface. The safest approach is simple, but often ignored. Cook only the amount of rice you need, or refrigerate leftovers within 1 hour of cooking. Store rice in an airtight container and consume it within 24 hours. Most importantly, reheat rice only once and make sure it is steaming hot all the way through. Rice is a nutritious and comforting food, but only when treated with care. Understanding these hidden risks can help protect your stomach, your brain, and your long-term health. Sometimes the biggest dangers are not what we eat, but how we handle it afterward. 2. Potatoes, safe fresh, dangerous. Reheated cooked potatoes are widely considered a healthy and comforting food, but doctors warn that they can become surprisingly dangerous when handled or reheated improperly. The problem does not lie in freshly cooked potatoes, but in what happens after they cool down and are stored the wrong way. When cooked potatoes are left at room temperature for extended periods, they create an ideal environment for harmful bacteria to grow. Reheating them later does not always make them safe again. One of the biggest risks comes from bacteria such as Clostridium botulinum, which can grow in cooked potatoes that are wrapped in foil or stored without proper ventilation. This bacteria can produce toxins that are extremely dangerous and are not always destroyed by reheating. While severe cases are rare, even low-level exposure can cause digestive distress, fatigue, and neurological symptoms that doctors take seriously, especially in older adults. Another concern is the chemical changes that occur when potatoes are repeatedly heated and cooled. During this process, certain compounds can form that may irritate the gut and increase inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation is now strongly linked by medical experts to brain fog, memory decline, and a higher risk of neurodegenerative conditions over time. This is why doctors increasingly emphasize not just what you eat, but how you store and reheat it. Reheated potatoes can also affect blood sugar levels, Cooling and reheating potatoes changes their starch structure, which may cause unpredictable spikes or drops in blood glucose. For people with diabetes or insulin resistance, this can place extra stress on the brain and blood vessels, increasing the risk of cognitive issues in the long term. Many people assume that if food smells fine and tastes normal, it must be safe. Unfortunately, toxins formed in improperly stored potatoes often have no smell or visible signs. This makes them particularly dangerous, as people may consume them repeatedly without realizing the hidden risk. Doctors recommend simple precautions to stay safe. Cook only the amount of potatoes you plan to eat, or refrigerate leftovers within 1 hour. Avoid storing cooked potatoes in foil at room temperature, and always keep them in the refrigerator. Reheat them only once and ensure they are piping hot all the way through. Potatoes can be a nutritious part of your diet, but only when handled correctly. Small food safety habits today can help protect your digestion, your brain, and your long-term health tomorrow. 3. Reused cooking oils. A cancer warning: reused cooking oils may seem like a harmless way to save money or reduce waste, but doctors strongly warn that this habit can quietly damage your health. When oils are heated for cooking, especially at high temperatures, their chemical structure begins to break down. If the same oil is reheated again and again, it produces toxic compounds that are far more dangerous than most people realize. These toxins do not disappear when the food cools, and reheating only makes the problem worse. One of the biggest dangers of reused cooking oils is the formation of toxic aldehydes. These chemicals are released when oils such as vegetable oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, and corn oil are heated repeatedly. Medical research has linked aldehydes to chronic inflammation, DNA damage, and a significantly increased risk of cancer over time. Regular consumption of foods cooked in reused oil may contribute to cancers of the digestive system and other organs. Doctors are also increasingly concerned about the impact of these toxic compounds on brain health. Aldehydes and other byproducts of overheated oils can cross the blood-brain barrier, triggering oxidative stress in brain cells. Oxidative stress is a major factor in memory loss, cognitive decline, and neurodegenerative conditions such as dementia. While reused oil alone does not directly cause dementia, long-term exposure adds to the overall toxic burden on the brain, especially in older adults. Another hidden risk is the increase in trans fats when oils are reheated. Trans fats are known to clog arteries, reduce blood flow to the brain, and accelerate aging of brain tissue. Poor circulation and inflammation together create conditions that doctors associate with faster mental decline and a higher risk of stroke. The danger becomes even greater with deep frying, where oil is often reused multiple times. Each reheating cycle increases toxicity, even if the oil looks clear or smells normal. Unfortunately, these harmful chemicals have no strong odor or visible warning signs, making them easy to ignore. Doctors recommend using fresh oil whenever possible and avoiding the reuse of frying oil altogether. If oil must be reused, it should be strained, stored properly, and used only once more at low heat. Choosing more stable oils and limiting fried foods can also reduce risk. Protecting your health is not just about ingredients, but about cooking habits. Small changes in how you use cooking oil today can make a powerful difference in protecting your body and brain for the future. 4. Processed meats. Increased cancer risk. Processed meats are a common part of many diets, but doctors are increasingly warning about the dangers they pose, especially when reheated. Foods like sausages, hot dogs, bacon, salami, and deli meats may be convenient and tasty, but they undergo heavy processing that changes their chemical structure. When these meats are reheated, especially at high temperatures, they can form harmful compounds that raise serious concerns for long-term health. One of the most dangerous substances formed during reheating of processed meats is called nitrosamines. These compounds develop from preservatives such as nitrates and nitrites, which are commonly added to processed meats to extend shelf life and enhance color. When exposed to heat, nitrites can convert into nitrosamines, which medical research has strongly linked to various types of cancer, particularly stomach, colorectal, and pancreatic cancer. Doctors also warn that repeated consumption of reheated processed meats may affect brain health. Nitrosamines and other toxic byproducts can trigger inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. Over time, this inflammation may damage blood vessels and reduce blood flow to the brain. Poor circulation and chronic inflammation are well known contributors to memory problems, cognitive decline, and an increased risk of dementia, especially in older adults. Another concern is the high fat and salt content in processed meats. Reheating can oxidize unhealthy fats, producing additional toxins that stress the liver and nervous system. Excess sodium further increases blood pressure, which can damage delicate brain vessels and raise the risk of strokes and vascular dementia. These effects may develop slowly, making them easy to overlook until serious damage has already occurred. Many people believe that microwaving or lightly reheating processed meat makes it safe. But unfortunately, heat does not eliminate these chemical risks. Even if the food looks and smells normal, harmful compounds may still be present. Eating reheated processed meats regularly can lead to a buildup of toxins in the body, increasing health risks over time. Doctors recommend limiting processed meat consumption as much as possible and avoiding reheating it altogether. If consumed, it is safer to eat it fresh and in small amounts. Replacing processed meats with fresh protein sources such as fish, eggs, beans, or freshly cooked meat can significantly reduce health risks. What may seem like a quick and easy meal today could quietly impact your health tomorrow. Being mindful of how often you eat and reheat processed meats is a simple but powerful step toward protecting your body, your brain, and your future well-being. 5. Spinach and leafy greens. A hidden chemical change. Spinach and other leafy greens are often praised as superfoods, rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that support heart and brain health. However, doctors warn that these healthy greens can become harmful if they are cooked, stored, and then reheated. The danger does not come from fresh spinach, but from the chemical changes that occur after cooking and reheating, which many people are completely unaware of. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, celery, and lettuce naturally contain nitrates. In their natural state, nitrates are generally safe and even beneficial. The problem begins after cooking, when cooked spinach is left to cool and then reheated. These nitrates can convert into nitrites with further chemical reactions. Nitrites may form nitrosamines, compounds that medical research has linked to an increased risk of cancer and damage to brain cells. Doctors are particularly concerned because these chemical changes are invisible. Reheated spinach may look, smell, and taste perfectly fine, yet still contain harmful compounds. Nitrites interfere with the blood's ability to carry oxygen efficiently. Reduced oxygen delivery can stress vital organs, especially the brain. Over time, repeated exposure may contribute to fatigue, brain fog, headaches, and in severe cases, long-term cognitive decline for infants, older adults, and people with weak immune systems. The risk is even higher. Some studies suggest that excess nitrites can affect neurological development and may increase vulnerability to memory problems later in life. While reheated leafy greens alone do not directly cause dementia, Doctors warn that continuous exposure to food-based toxins can increase overall neurological stress, particularly as the brain ages. Another concern is improper storage, cooked. Spinach left at room temperature allows bacteria to grow alongside these chemical changes. Reheating does not always eliminate the toxins produced, making the food unsafe despite being hot. Microwaving can also heat unevenly, allowing certain harmful compounds to remain active. The safest approach is to consume spinach and leafy greens fresh or immediately after cooking. If leftovers must be stored, they should be refrigerated promptly, and ideally eaten cold, such as in salads, rather than reheated. Cooking only the amount you plan to eat significantly reduces risk. Spinach remains a highly nutritious food when handled correctly. The key lesson doctors emphasize is simple but important. Not all healthy foods stay healthy after. Reheating. Understanding how everyday habits affect food safety can help protect not just your digestion, but your brain and long-term health as well.